Hi, Tasha and Adam with IT Professionals of Iowa, coming to you with our Wednesday Tech Talks. And join in and ask us any questions you want. We're going to do these every Wednesday, 6 p.m. We're going to try and do like a 10-minute video unless people start asking questions and we're able to answer them. I don't see where there's any viewers. Does it show us?
Yep. So right now there's nobody in here yet, just us.
Hi, when you do join. I did pick a topic today that is really important to everyone. And it's how much does free software really cost you? How much does free really cost? And for example, I always ask people how they have their stuff backed up, their data, their pictures, and a lot of people think that, what is that software that you were working on yesterday that's just a syncing?
So we'll categorize syncing software all in one. So your Dropbox, your Google Drive, your OneDrive, those are not backup software or backup tools. Those are file syncing tools. So what that means is it will sync that data from one machine to another. If you delete it from one machine, it's going to delete it from the other and from the cloud. So therefore, it's not a backup. Hey, Adam, we are both MSP, mainly MSP, and we do some break fix as well. So now a backup program will not delete files when you delete them from your machine. They'll stay in the history as far as your data retention goes. Now that could be 30 days, 6 months, a year, kind of whatever you have it set to. Some are continuous. If it's based on storage space, it will overwrite the oldest files. So eventually you could lose those files, but it's not a sync, and the fact that if you delete it from one, it immediately deletes it.
So we're talking about Dropbox, for example, was the name of the software. A lot of people think that that's actually a backup, but like he just explained, it's just syncing, and it's not flawless for a backup. He spent how many hours yesterday afternoon trying to get the Dropbox to sync across the client's computer in her business?
So the issue we had is they got 2 new computers, and they had about 80 gigabytes of data in Dropbox. So both those computers were trying to pull it down at the same time. So in that, it was really choking their bandwidth, and the computers are not, they're mid-grade consumer, so the specs alone isn't super high. So what we did in that case, Dropbox is also supposed to have a LAN sync option, but if you're trying to pull down that much bandwidth with multiple machines on the network, it's really going to choke things down. So what we did in that case was we paused the syncing on one of the new computers, let it pull all the data down on the other one, and then we're going to use an external drive to copy that data from one to the other, and then Dropbox just has to index that data rather than pull it all down multiple times.
So she was on a paid version of the Dropbox, but it's just too much work for what she thought it was supposed to be doing.
The biggest thing is trying to download all of that data. Now, one tool we like to use would be SharePoint Online. So
part of the Microsoft Office 365 suite.
Yes. So one of the reasons we like that is their new system where the files stay in SharePoint Online, and then once you open them, they download to your machine. So you're not using all of that space, and you're not killing your bandwidth and bringing down the whole network basically to download all of those files. So we have a question here: how do you market your MSP services compared to break fix? So really, we market them. Most of the time, we get started with a break fix client. They find us because something's broke, and we'll go in there. And typically, we found over the course of about 3 months, we can convert them over to managed services. Most of those customers don't know what managed services are, and if you just go in there and say, "Hey, here's a contract. Here's a 10 or 15-page contract. I want you to sign. We're just going to take over everything," they're like, "Well, we don't know you. We're not comfortable with that." You know, those types of things. So what we'll do is we'll go in and work with them. Typically, they have multiple issues by the time they bring us in to get something fixed. We all know how that goes. Things just stack up until it doesn't work at all. So what we'll do is we'll tell them, every time we fix something, that this would either be included in the managed service plan, so it wouldn't be additional cost, or it would be at a reduced cost if it was billable, or it would be prevented altogether. And so typically, if you show them that, typically we found about a 3-month period, you go over those things every time, they finally realize, I would be better off on a managed service plan. Like the last one we brought on, we worked with them for about 3 months. It might have been a little bit longer, 3 or 4 months, and we showed them that they would have saved almost $3,000 by being on a managed services plan at that time. We brought all the invoices in, we showed them, and we said this is what would have been covered, and they signed it right there.
That is just from a labor standpoint, but the time that they're losing being down in their office from their computers being down, their assistants being down, their customers not being, their needs being met, it just all flows downhill and adds up in the end. For example, say their internet connectivity was intermittent. Is that the word?
Sure.
And their phones, voice over IP phones, are internet based too, so they're losing phone calls. It just it kind of pays in the end to stay ahead of it. It's just easier on everyone. Then there's never really an emergency, and that's just the great thing about our business is we're able to schedule everything and have plenty of time to be there when the need needs to be met.
Also, after working with them for a few months, you can show them that things are working better. They have less downtime. Things are working better or faster or more efficient. A lot of times when we come in, the hardware is 5+ years old, so you may start replacing systems, or you can show them how they're unsecure with their plain off-the-shelf router from one of the big box stores. You can show them with a UTM what kind of advanced features and security they have. It's really, around here at least, managed services hasn't really, people don't know what it is yet. In a few years' time that may change, but just going in and showing the value you can provide and what can be prevented as you work with them and as you learn to work with each other and build that relationship, that's what sells managed services for us.
Yes.
As far as marketing, we don't really do anything different directly for managed services. One of the big things that works for us is a local networking group.
Yeah, and word of mouth. I mean, you're trusting people with your computers, and what's on your computer? Basically everything about you and your business. And people have that fear that, I don't know, just fear of
letting somebody in.
Yeah, and it's totally understandable. So you can't just really walk door to door or cold call and say, let me in your computers. You can trust me. But when you build relationships with these people and then they have relationships with others, then they refer you, and that's really been the biggest growth to our business, substantially grown since we started networking in professional structured networking groups. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
Nope. I think we're good unless Adam has another question, but we'll go on for now.
Yeah, ask away, and I will talk about antivirus. So everybody knows that they need antivirus on their computers, and that viruses and malware and all of that ring a bell, and that you need to be protected for that. Sometimes your computers come with a Norton trial on there.
Or any of the big vendors.
Sure. And a lot of them vendors we have found do spend a lot of money on marketing, but not so much keeping up to date with the new viruses that come up. What is the technical word for that?
So there's ransomware, but
no,
there's zero-day attacks, which is things that aren't known vulnerabilities yet.
Sure.
One of the big things, one thing I said a lot was when we focused more on residential work. When somebody had a free antivirus, it's free just cost you $129.95, which is our virus removal rate. So that's kind of the topic of this.
Sure.
What does free really cost you? Well, it costs you $129.95. Whereas if you go with, we're more business focused now. We still do some residential work, so we have a managed antivirus, which is $9.95 a month. With that, we monitor it. We make sure scans are running. We make sure that updates are being done. If anything's detected, we just take care of it in that price. A lot of times, if you have the free antivirus, you have to go and pay them to fix it.
And the downtime.
Yep. And a lot of times you'll have a language barrier. They're only available certain times, and the whole process is a pain. So it's best to work with a local provider anyway. Now, we've even seen where you go and buy one of the big name products at the store, it doesn't work, and then you have to call them and pay them again in order to fix the issue that you bought the software for initially. So free isn't necessarily worth it, and if you get into like line of business applications and things like that, most vendors will provide some sort of ongoing support or maintenance, and it's definitely worth it to have that because it's impossible for us to know everything about every piece of software. And if the software is your line of business software that your business depends on and runs on, you need to have that support or maintenance. And then we will work with the vendor in order to take care of whatever the issue is. Which, because, so let's say you have whatever line of business software, it doesn't even matter. And you decide, well, I don't want the maintenance package because we don't need it. Well, then for whatever reason, the entire business is down, that software isn't working, and we need to get vendor support involved. Well, that could literally be hours to a couple of days because they're going to have a hard stop. You don't have a maintenance contract with us. We need to get that done first. So you could have so much more downtime just because of not having that maintenance plan in place. Whereas if you have some sort of agreement with those vendors and you call in, usually it's a matter of minutes to get the things fixed rather than hours or possibly days in an extreme case. So it's definitely worth, you get what you pay for, really.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of that data is critical that businesses hold on their computers as well. And so that's just really important to not use a free antivirus and hope that you'll get by and just think that, oh, it's worked in the past. Because there's a lot more to just an antivirus software to blocking the new threats that could take down your whole network and whatever data you have stored on there. What about customers' information that's on doctors' offices?
Yep. There are lots of different compliances.
Insurance companies, financial institutions.
Yeah, so security should always be thought of in layers. If you're running a free antivirus, you're most likely running an off-the-shelf standard router, which offers really no protection. There's very little, whereas if you have compliance, you need reporting. You also a next generation firewall will have antivirus built in, it'll have anti-phishing built in, it will have malicious software detection, intrusion prevention, all of those extra features. You have to have those layers in place because standalone antivirus is not enough.
So I just wanted to touch on like backups.
Yeah, so
what
backups.
What was the name of the software that they thought was a backup that you were working on yesterday?
So it was Dropbox.
Dropbox.
They didn't think it was a backup, but they were using it as a sync tool, and there are problems with that based on trying to download all of that data to two machines. That was a problem. But those sync tools are not a backup. And
there is.
So managed backups are good, or paid for backups. So as a managed service provider, we offer a managed backup. So we get the daily reports to make sure that everything's backed up. If there's an error or missed, we just go in and we take care of it most of the time. If it's a server backup, those things. If you have one of those third-party backup plans, whether it's standalone on your computer or cloud-based, it's really up to you to make sure that that data is being backed up. The backups are running. It's up to you to make sure that you do a test restore, which nobody does. They forget about it. They just assume, hey, it's backing up. It looks like it is, So you really, it benefits you if you don't have the time to dedicate to that, to find a local provider that will manage that stuff for you.
Hi, Adam. Hi, Mike. What was the question? Where can I get a Windows packet editor? That'd be a question for you.
I'm not sure what you're looking for
there.
Okay.
Is that like a different version of Windows?
No. I'm not sure what he's looking for. Adam, if you could clarify.
Elaborate on that.
There's a little bit of a delay here.
So yeah, just the cost of free software, being down, losing data, risking downtime.
So are you talking about wiping drives? We use Active Kill Disk for our customers when we do a drive wipe because it provides a certificate. A basic format is not enough. You need something that will write random data completely across that drive. For us, we've worked with data recovery companies and tested ourselves. One full pass of random writes is enough. You don't need to do 3 or 5 or 10 or whatever you want. You certainly can. It's not going to cause any harm. But if you get a bunch of drives you need to wipe, one pass is enough as long as you do a complete random data write.
Are those free software?
So that one is not, and we went with it because it provides that certificate. If you're familiar with Linux at all, you can use, actually you can get DBAN, which you can put on a disk, boot to disk, and it's Linux based, and it is free, and it will wipe the drive.
All right.
Unless you meant Windows PE, that's a completely different program. I believe Gandalf had one you could download. So we have Microsoft Action Pack. So with Windows for that, you can download the MS Dart tools, the diagnostic and recovery tools, straight from Microsoft, and then you have a Windows PE version. But you can get those downloaded online. I don't have any links directly for those. Anything else?
I just wanted to touch on syncing versus backups, which we touched on, and how important it is to back up. And you'll hear us stress that, or me stress that in every video. Free versus paid antivirus and everything that goes with protecting yourself from threats. Layered security, Adam explained that as well. Tune back in for our next Wednesday Tech Talks, next Wednesday at 6 p.m. I appreciate all the sharing, liking, and engagement. We're still here to answer any questions. Message me or the Facebook page and pick our brains. Happy to help and share the knowledge.
Thank you.
Thanks.